بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Today I have with me inshallah ta'ala a free pass for all of you, for the ones who want it. A free pass inshallah ta'ala to Jannah, if you're interested. A free pass to Jannah inshallah ta'ala, stamped, certified, but not by me, by our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A guaranteed pass لدخول الجنة, to enter into the Jannah inshallah. Is anybody interested? Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. That's good, alhamdulillah, good to know. So we have a free pass. There's a few conditions that have to be met, that's it.
Go forward, please, brother.
You meet those conditions, inshallah ta'ala, you have a free pass to the Jannah.
So can you fill up all the gaps in front of you,
Please,
please?
fill the gap, please.
Move up if you can. Don't get too close to me, don't get on top of the table or anything, but nonetheless, you can move up inshallah. You still have some room. He wasallam asked for us to guarantee 6 things, and he will guarantee for us the Jannah. And today we're going to look at these 6 things and discuss them inshallah ta'ala. First of all, he said alayhi salatu wasalam, Usduqu idha haddathtum. To be truthful when you speak. Wa awfu idha wa'tum. And fulfill if you promise. Wa addu idha tumintum. That if you have something you're responsible for, to carry it out, to fulfill it as well. Wa ahfadu furujakum. And protect your private parts, your chastity, from falling into zina and that which is haram. وَغُضُّوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ وَغُضُّوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ. And lower your gaze. وَكُفُّوا أَيْدِيَكُمْ. And to control your hands. 6 things. If you fulfill these conditions and strive to act upon them, you have a guaranteed pass to enter into the Jannah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inshallah ta'ala. أُصْدُقُوا إِذَا حَدَّثْتُمْ. Be truthful if you speak. All throughout the Quran, all throughout the Sunnah of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the importance of a sidq, of truthfulness. In 92 verses in the Quran, 92 parts of the Quran, 92 spots, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the sidq, the truthfulness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us in the name of Eman, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. And you know when you hear Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, something important, pay attention. Allah says to us, Ittaqullah wa kunu ma'a sadiqeen. Fear Allah and be with the truthful. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us in the Hadith which came in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim, he said alayhi salatu wasalam, alaykum bis-sidq, that you must be truthful. And then he told us the effects, the outcomes of this truthfulness. He said alayhi salatu wasalam, فَإِنَّ الصِّدْقِ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْبِرِّ وَإِنَّ الْبِرِّ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Because verily truthfulness guides to the albir. Albir is righteousness. And this bir, this righteousness, guides you to the Jannah. وَلَا يَزَالُ الرَّجُلُ يَصْدُقُ حَتَّى يُكْتَبْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ صِدِّيقًا. And the person continues to be truthful until he's written down with Allah that he is from the truthful. Allahu Akbar. You're written down with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're from the Siddiqeen, from the truthful ones. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us. He said, وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْكَذِبِ. Beware of lying. فَإِنَّ الْكَذِبِ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْفُجُورِ وَإِنَّ الْفُجُورَ يَهْدِي إِلَى النَّارِ. Subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ said, and beware of lying, because verily lying lies you to fujur, which is all types of evil. And verily this fujur, this evilness, will guide you to the hellfire from lying. And then he said, وَلَا يَزَالُ الرَّجُلُ يَكْذِبُ حَتَّى يُكْتَبْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَذَّابًا. أعوذ بالله. The person continues to lie until he's written down with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a liar. Lying is a serious thing in Islam. Nowadays, people look at it as not really that big of a deal. Lying, lies. You have to lie to get ahead in life, right? People lie all day, all night. As parents, we train our children to be professional liars, isn't it? And the young guys are looking around like, yeah, that's true. They did train me. And the cha-chas and like, no, we don't train them to do this. No. What happens? From a young age, we tell them, for example, somebody comes and knocks on the door, is Baba there? Say, tell him I'm not there. So what does the kid do? Because the kid, when he's young, he's on the fitrah. His natural instinct is still there to be honest. That's how he is. That's how Allah created us, to be honest, to be truthful. So he goes to the door and he says, Baba told me to tell you that he's not here. Right? Then when he gets a little older, he becomes professional. He understands he has to actually lie when he says, no, my father's not here. A'udhu billah. So we train him from a young age, unfortunately. The Prophet ﷺ warned us about the lying. When they came to him and asked him about the major sins. Can the mu'min do these major sins? Like what? Making zina, stealing, drinking alcohol. Said, would the mu'min do this? I believe, or would he do something like this? And the Prophet ﷺ said, naam. Yes, he would. To all three of these. Not meaning that it's okay, but as he described in the other hadith that the person, the mu'min, when he falls into these sins, he doesn't do it when he's a mu'min. I mean, his iman has gotten so weak. He's drifted so far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he fell into these major sins. Then they asked him, هل يكذب المؤمن? Does the believer, the mu'min, does he lie? He said, لا, no, he doesn't lie. Not that one. So serious. Lying is a serious thing in Islam. Nowadays, as Muslim businessmen, it's become very famous that we're so honest in our business. Isn't that correct? Anybody who deals with the Muslims, mashallah, tabarakallah. And that's why Islam spread so rapidly in the UK, right? Like Indonesia. Indonesia, how do they become Muslim? How do they become Muslim? Through the sword. Allahu Akbar. Is that correct? You sure? Islam spread by the sword, man, come on. That's what they say, right? Or we're wrong? The largest Muslim population in the world, Indonesia. Anybody from Indonesia here? Indonesians. Indonesia. None? You're from Indonesia, man? Allahu Akbar. He raised his hand. I'm done. Somebody. All right? Through the businessmen and how they were honest. Their honesty in their business. They affected them to enter into Islam. But nowadays, how are the Muslim businessmen? What are they known for? SubhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ, when he described the business transaction, he said, الْبَيْعَانِ بِالْخِيَارِ مَا لَمْ يَتَفَرَّقَا. That the ones who are dealing in the business, they have the choice if they want to continue with the transaction or not, as long as they are in the same city. That's a fiqh issue. But pay attention to what comes after this in the same hadith. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, it's for a different area. It's okay. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, pay attention to this. Who has their own business here? Allahu Akbar. Only 3 guys. Come on. People, we're not going to ask you for any money, don't worry. No money. Okay, the other person said, no money? Okay, I got my business too. Whether you're a businessman or you're working for a businessman, you're a salesman, pay attention to this hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَإِن صَدَقَا وَبَيَّنَا بُورِكَ لَهُمَا فِي بَيْعِهِمَا. That if they are to be honest, to be truthful, and to show, bayyana, that, for example, if there's some faults here, we say the date is it's going to expire. It's going to expire in 2 months, for example. He shows that this, it's not the best thing that I have, not the best quality. بُورِكَ لَهُمَا فِي بَيْعِهِمَا. Allah puts barakah, puts blessing in his transaction. وَإِن, pay attention, next part of the hadith. وَإِن كَذَبَا وَكَتَمَا مُحِقَتْ بَرَكَةُ بَيْعِهِمَا. And if they are to lie and to hide, they hide the faults. They put the good stuff on the top and the bad stuff on the bottom. That Allah erases the barakah from their transaction. There's no barakah in it, no blessing in it. And that's why the people who cheat and lie to get ahead, they wonder why they're broke all the time. They wonder why there's no barakah. They wonder why there's no barakah in their money. They have a lot of money in the books. MashaAllah, I made this. But there's no barakah in it, there's no blessing in it. Because he wasn't truthful. Fear Allah and be with the truthful, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you. Be truthful. The second thing, إِذَا أَوْفُوا إِذَا وَعْتُمْ, to fulfill if you promise. And we have a serious issues as Muslims when it comes to promises. And I don't want to look at the big stage first. Let's look at the small things first of all. We have certain things, which is time management. We're great at time management, aren't we? As Muslims. No, because really, we're special. We have two different types of times. We have Muslim time, or some people like to call it Asian time. And we have what? Islamic time, the real time. So when somebody tells you a Muslim time or an Asian time, he's going to be there at 2. What time does he show up? What time does he show up? 4, 3, 3:30, 2:45. Malish, no big deal, huh? You're sitting out there waiting. Huh? And people take it, now with the telephones, it's become even a bigger problem. Because you fall into telling the truth as well not. What do when you call them? What does he say? He doesn't tell you, Ya akhi, I'm 45 minutes away. He'll tell you, I'm right next to you. I'm on the way. I'm around the corner. Sawala, I'm around the corner. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, 45 minutes, 1 hour. That's a big corner, man. That is a huge corner. What is going on here? No, I'm next to you. Shwaya, tora, huh? I'll be there. Subhanallah. Wallahi al-azim, I'm having lunch one day in a Muslim country. And the guy's eating, and he gets a phone call. So he finishes, he answers, hello. He says, where are you? He said, I'm on the way. I'm looking at him, I said, you don't look like you're on the way to me, man. Huh? And he said, no. He said, I'm right next to you, right next to you, right around the corner. I said, Allahu Akbar, around the corner. I said, you're eating, man. You're about to put another bite in your mouth. And you tell him around the corner. Like he's in his car driving. SubhanAllah. If you promise something, fulfill it. Something that small, as a Muslim. When you promise something, fulfill it. No matter how small it might be. The ones who don't fulfill their promise, who are they? The sifat of who? The characteristics of who? The one who promises and doesn't fulfill. The munafiqeen, the hypocrites. Pay attention. It's not a characteristic you want to have for yourself, for your family. If you promise something, fulfill it. If you can't do it, say, I can't do it. Even with your family. So many problems. We sit down, brothers have problems with their wives and what have you, because he promises, doesn't fulfill. Don't promise. If you can't do it, you can't go out to buy something tonight, say, I'll tell you later. I can't do it. Whatever. Don't say I'll do it and then don't do it. Causes problems. One of the sheikhs one time, he said, fulfilling your promise. He said, I went home, I was leaving, I'm in a hurry to give a lecture, and my son says, Baba, he said, I want a toy, I want a new toy. And the obviously said, okay, khair, I'll do it, okay. And he leaves the house. When he comes back in, what is the kid waiting for? Huh? He knows, he's the toy, he's waiting for the toy, of course. The father's like, because we know we've done that a lot of times, right? He's waiting for the toy. What did his son tell him? He said, oh, Sheikh. Little guy. Said, the Sheikh. So you get on the minbar. You get on the minbar and you tell people, halal, haram, do good, stay away, and you lie? Huh? You don't fulfill your own promises? The Sheikh said, Bismillah, I went right back out, went and bought him a toy and came back, and I'm there to fulfill your promises. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trained us in the Quran. When he talked about his prophets, the ones who we follow in their footsteps, what did he say about them? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Wa Ibrahim alladhi waffa. The one who fulfills Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ismail. Wadhkur fil kitab Ismail. Remember Ismail in the book. What did he say about him? Innahu kana sadiq al-wa'd. Wa kana rasul al-nabiy alayhi salam. He said that he was truthful in his promise, alayhi salam. And he was a messenger and a prophet. Look at these characteristics to remind us of what we need to be as Muslims. When we promise something, that we fulfill it. And if you're held responsible for something, وَأَدُّوا إِذَا أُتْمِنْتُمْ, if you're somebody who's been given a responsibility, no matter how small or big it might be, at the workplace, at school, at university, if you have responsibility, you have to fulfill it as a Muslim. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. All of you are like shepherds, and he's responsible for the flock under him. Your family is the most important responsibility that you have. Fulfill that responsibility. The Prophet ﷺ said something. It's a very scary hadith, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. This hadith, I don't think we mention it enough. Sometimes these scary hadith, we don't want to mention it. People want to hear about, this, the good, the Jannah, and this. They don't hear about these scary things. Say, leave this section. It's too harsh. But it's a scary hadith. We need to know it. We need to remind ourselves. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man mata wa huwa ghashin li ra'iyati, lam yashum rahat al-jannah." That whoever dies and he is cheating those he's responsible for, he will not smell the fragrance of paradise. He's not going to enter paradise. When you have responsibility, your children, your work, your business, whatever it is you're doing, and you're cheating that, you're cheating them, you will not enter into the Jannah. Hadith, the Prophet said, it's a serious thing. That's when the Prophet mentioned 6 things to enter the Jannah. Alhamdulillah. It's going to be challenging. If you are responsible, fulfill it. You have responsibility. The Prophet ﷺ, when he made hijrah, he left Ali radiallahu anh behind. One of the reasons he left him behind was to do what? Why did he leave him behind? To give back the people the money that they had given him to entrust him with. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Even though they were spreading rumors about him, calling him a liar, calling him a sahir, a magician, calling him this and this and this, a poet, and warning the people about him and his da'wah, but they needed somebody to put their money with, to trust them. As-Sadiq al-Amin alayhi salatu wasalam. They knew they could give him their money, and he would give it back to them just like it was. They trusted him. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam in a hadith in Sunan Ibn Majah said, "Al-Muslim man salimu al-Muslimun ala anfusihim wa amwalihim." That the Muslim, the true Muslim, is the one who the Muslims are safe when it comes to themselves and to their money. Your responsibility, fulfill it. And then the 4th thing the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, وَاحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَكُمْ, and protect your chastity. Protect your private parts from falling into zina. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your creator, the one who created you, knows what you need. The one who knows what you need, knows how you should do what you shouldn't do, sends down the Quran for you as a source of guidance to you. He tells us subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا, and do not come close to the zina, to the fornication, to the adultery. It's an amr. He can stop right here, full stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is right. But he continues. What did he say after the same verse? What did he say about the zina? Hafiz Saab Nahi? No Hafiz Saab in Birmingham? Nahi? Nobody knows that? وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشًا وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. Said, don't come close to the zina. And then Allah explained it. Why? Because it's immoral and it's an evil way. Subhanallah, look at this verse and look around us in the world today. Look around us and look at the outcomes of the haram activity. Look what happens around the world today. And we see that we say, Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah. Look at the beauty of Islam. Allah didn't make something haram for us as if there's hikmah, there's wisdom behind it. It's immoral and it's an evil way. Look how evil it is. We see the outcomes. Look at the AIDS, look at the disease, all of this. Because the people turned away from the way of their Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't come close to the zina. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something haram, also the steps which take you to it can be haram as well. And that's why in Islam, the first thing which leads to zina is what? What's the first thing? The eyes. That's the 5th point. We're going to talk about it. So I'm not going to go into detail now. So lower your gaze. We're going to talk about it in detail in a minute. What else? When it comes to mixing. Why is mixing haram in Islam? Why don't we have the sisters come down here now? Let's mix now. Huh? Why don't we do it?
Lift you know, feeling of shyness, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Also, what's going to happen? Honestly, if there's a whole bunch of sisters here, how many people are going to be paying attention to what I'm saying? Very little. Maybe now nobody's paying attention. I don't know, but most people are not going to be paying attention. People are like, and the sister's going to be, the brother's going to be looking. And our brothers now chilling out, listening. Now they're going to be, now paying attention, looking around. Well, listen, that's how it is. Some schools in America now have reached the fact that they must have segregated schools. And you can see some of these you can find these researchers and these professionals in education who will say because it doesn't work when they're mixed. Because they don't concentrate on education, they concentrate on the opposite gender. The Prophet says, people say, it's not a big deal, different. The Prophet said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالدُّخُولَ النِّسَاءِ. Beware, don't enter upon the women. Let them be in their place, you be in your place. Even those people you think are the closest ones to you, beware, they're dangerous. The Prophet ﷺ warned us from the person who will never stab you in your back, right? Your own brother. Own brother. From mama and baba. Your own bro. No, he's harmless. He would never do it to me. He would never stab my back. I can travel back home to Pakistan or to wherever it is I'm from, and I can leave with my wife in the house and nothing will happen. Because he's my brother. People are like, yeah, that's right. They went to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him about this guy, your brother. They asked the Prophet ﷺ, أَرَأَيْتَ الْحَمُوا? Have you seen al-hamu, which is the brother? He said, al-hamu al-maut. That the brother's death. Because at the end of the day, he might be your brother, but he's still a man. And he told us that a man and woman don't mix, except for who is the third of them? Third. Be careful. This mixing become an easy thing between the Muslims. It's dangerous. Stay away from the zina. Stay away from the things that lead to that. The looking. Also, the tabarruj. The tabarruj. The women going out, being exposed. What did Allah say in the Quran about this? وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ وَلَا تَبَرُّجْ تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. He said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and stay in your house and don't expose yourself like the women of the Jahiliyyah. Cover yourself properly. Have a proper hijab. When men go out, who do they look for? Look for the hijabi with the full hijab. Oh, mashallah. Let's try to talk to her. She's not interested. You can see how she's dressed. But the other ones who are showing everything say, oh, this is who they go and talk to. Ask anybody. The ones who so many of our brothers who made tawbah. We see a sister who's wearing hijab. Nobody's going to go talk to her. She's somebody who's pious. A nun. You see a Christian nun. You can go talk to her or not? It's not. She doesn't fit the profile, does she? You never know. But anyway, but it was apparent. No. She's not going to be, hanging out with you at night. Inshallah. Exposing the tabarruj, not wearing hijab. All of these steps. One of the things as well, delaying the marriage. We have a crisis upon the ummah. The chachas and the chachis. Wallahi, they're killing our youth. Wallahi. And they need to make tawbah, honestly. All the parents need to make tawbah. And this is something, everywhere I go, we face this problem. Because everywhere you go, whether it's in an Asian country, an Arab country, our children can only be one of two things. They have two things in their future. That's it. What is it? A doctor or a muhandis, engineer. That's it. There's only two things for you. You have no future. No. You have to be engineer Saab or Dr. Saab. One of the two. You can't be anything else. There's no third choice. Okay? Now, when the hormones start get jumping, the kid wants to get married. Say, no. You have to finish your career. You have to do your studies and then get a job and this. But Dad, you have money. You're rich. I can stay in this room with my wife. No. You have to be 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 before you get married. And that's unnatural. That's unnatural for a youth. So what's he going to fall into? We're going to put him into a room with a bunch of food and tell him stay here for 10 days, 30 days, 40 days and don't eat. Just be patient. What's he going to do? At the end of the day, not everybody's iman is that strong. This is dangerous. Don't come near the zina or anything which brings you close to the zina. And the main thing with that is,
Like this, you know, talking like this. Better. It's okay?
I don't know, should I put it in my mouth or what? I can't get much closer to that, man. It's like 1 inch from my mouth. It's okay?
Just this.
It's all right? Okay. And my voice is loud, so it has to be in the microphone. We have a whole bunch of floors, mashallah. Tayyib. Lowering the gaze. The first thing which calls somebody to fornicate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created you. He told you lower your gaze because He knows the ill effects of the gaze. What happens when you want to commit zina? Does it happen like the dogs? You're jogging, she's jogging. You smell each other, you know, behind the bush, and then you go on your way? No, it doesn't work like that with humans. She sees you, you see her, you're on WhatsApp chatting, and then shaitan takes you to the next level. But the first thing is looking at the haram. Looking at haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Tell the believers to lower their gaze. If you reflect on the Quran, reflect on the meanings of the Quran, what comes next in the verse? Tell this a command. And it's enough for Allah to stop with the command. Full sentence. Stop. Tell the believers to lower their gaze. That's enough. And what's the next thing in the verse? Birmingham guys are rough, man. Nobody answers any questions here. Come on, man. Straight faces. Come on, come on. I know somebody knows the verse. وَيَحْفَظُ فُرُوجَهُمْ. And protect their private parts. Once again, because there's a direct connection between the looking and between falling into zina later. And then Allah tells us something very interesting next. ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُمْ. It's more purifying for you. It's more purifying. Allah tells us about this soul in our bodies. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. That the one who strives to purify it, he's going to be successful. And the one who doesn't, he's corrupted his soul. So when you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by lowering your gaze, you're purifying your soul. When you're not, you're corrupting your soul. And it's going to lead you to fall into other traps, of the traps of shaitan when you follow his footsteps. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. Allah is well acquainted with what we do. To remind you that even if the people can't see what you're looking at, it's haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Allah knows. It's been sunny these days out, mashallah now. So now you're driving around, you got your shades on when you're driving now, huh? There's not much sun in the UK, right? But now you can be cool. You have your shades on, you're driving. You see a beautiful lady on the side of the road. Your wife says, don't you dare look. Huh? And you said, no, astaghfirullah, baby. I wouldn't look at anybody else but you. Of course not. Huh? And you're looking out the side of the shades. Nobody can see. Astaghfirullah. No, I love you only. And you're driving. Say, alhamdulillah. But then you remember, Inna Allah khabirun bima yasnaun. Allah is well acquainted. Astaghfirullah. And then, I can pull one over my wife, but I can't pull one over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows. He knows what's happening. This chair really is like, it reminds me of my Cadillac. I have a 1977 Cadillac. It dipped down like this. Wow, mashallah. Huh? Allah is well acquainted with what you do. Allah knows. We have an issue, brothers, today. And I know that you guys know this issue. We have a new fiqh book which is spread out between the Muslims. And the author of this book is Iblis. You've heard of him? Iblis. Now Iblis is a scholar. Iblis has got some serious fiqh. No, seriously. Iblis will come with some fiqh. He'll be like, wow, you know. He'll come with you some revelation type fiqh. He'll be like, wow, that's interesting. When you come in the morning, Salatul Fajr, what happens? You wake up and you want to go where? To the masjid. You want to go to the masjid. You know the ajr, you know the reward. He comes to you, he's like, yeah, there's a difference of opinion. Is it wajib to go? Is it mustahab? It's a difference of opinion. And you're sitting there like, yeah, that's true. But he said, yeah, right, it is a difference, huh? And he said, but there's no difference of opinion that you getting a good night's sleep to perform well at work, that's wajib. So you're going to leave something that's wajib, something that's mustahab? Come on, let's go back to sleep. I'll wake you up. I'll help you. I'll wake you up in 45 minutes from now. What happens then? You wake up and the sun is hitting you in your face. Astaghfirullah. So the guy, he's got his fiqh down. He'll play with you. We have a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which says the first look is what? Everybody knows this hadith. Come on, man. You guys know this hadith. Well, I don't know. What's the first look is what? The first look is lek. Was second alik. The first one is basically translated is yours, and the second one, or the first one is for you, and the second one is against you. So what does this mean? Now, brothers nowadays they say, get a good look. That first look. You scope in. Let's do the first look, don't mess with me. And then they say, now, as long as you don't blink on the first, still one look. So he's holding the eyes down like this now. Astaghfirullah. What's meant by that? Another mufaji. You see a beautiful lady, you saw her, you turn away. It's no sin, you saw her by mistake. When you turn back, that's when the sin happens. So don't play around with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. What's meant is the another mufaji. By mistake, you saw her. You're driving the road, you look over, there's a beautiful lady. Controlling your gaze, is it easy to do? Don't worry, your wives can't see you. It's just me on the mic. Is it easy to lower your gaze?
It's easy.
Come on, man. This is what happens. We come into the masjid and we get in the holy mode. We get in holy mode. That's what happens. It's not easy. It's a big fitna. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, I didn't leave a bigger fitna with you except for the women. Bigger than the women. It's a big fitna. What are you talking about? When you see a woman, you want to look. But you know, la. This is bad for me. It's bad for my deen. Allah told me look down. I have to look down. And now we know from this hadith that inshallah ta'ala we can have a pass to the Jannah by doing this. And the outcome is that the good is going to have for us. And the evil is going to have for us if we don't do it. And the sixth point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said is that the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, Kufu aydiyakum. To control your hands. The Prophet ﷺ told us in another hadith, Al-Muslim man sallamhu al-Muslimuna ala that the Muslims are safe from the true Muslim, the one the Muslims are safe from his lisan, from his tongue, and from his hands. Never to harm another Muslim with your hands. Never to raise your hands upon another Muslim. Always to remember the issue of brotherhood. Sometimes, wallahi, some brothers might really make you angry. They might make you mad. And you want to knock them out. And wallahi, they deserve to be knocked out sometimes. Wallahi, they deserve it. I'm with you sometimes. Say, he deserves to be knocked out. But we remember this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Because we have this brotherhood. We have this love for one another. And I can't touch my brother with my hand. I can't hit him. So we control ourselves. Is it worth it, Yawm al-Qiyamah, to come you've harmed another Muslim? It's not worth it. Control your hands. Don't harm another Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ, he never hit a woman in his life with his hand. Never hit a servant with his hand. Only time he used his hand against somebody else was when he was in a battle, alayhi salatu wassalam. If somebody harms you, you have to defend yourself, that's something else. But we don't go out and want to harm others and another human being in general. We don't want to go harm anybody with our hands. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as we come here together tonight to open this, inshallah, this great center, we need to reflect on the meanings in the Quran, the meanings in the Sunnah. And if you go home tonight and you reflect on this hadith, and you see, if we were to act upon this as Muslims, if we were to act upon this hadith, how it would affect us as individuals, as communities, as a society. Think about these 6 things. If we were to come together and all of the Muslims would start to try to be truthful, to fulfill their promises, to fulfill their responsibilities, to protect themselves from falling into haram, into zina, to lower their gaze, to never harm anybody with their hands. Think about the effects it would have on you, it would have on the community as a whole. When you reflect on these meanings, the Prophet ﷺ, when he comes with these type of meanings, an easy path to the Jannah, as long as you strive to do it. You might mess up every now and then. You might have some shortcomings every now and then. That's normal. You're a human being. But as long as you strive to do it. So I learned this hadith today of the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm going to act upon it, inshallah. I'm going to try to implement these 6 things in my life. I'm going to strive when I look down. Astaghfirullah. Remember this. It's a path to Jannah. It's not just now a command that you're getting ajr for. You say it's a path to Jannah. It's even more ajr. I'm worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through lowering my gaze now even more. We need to reflect on these meanings. and make them part of our lives. And Allah knows best. Allahu a'lam wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabina Muhammad.